Testing, testing, testing. Let's go! Let's go! Welcome to round 26. Yes, the final round of the NPL Victoria men's competition for season 2025. In a match in which otherwise would have been a potential title clincher for either South Melbourne or the Oakleigh Cannons, is more or less a dead rubber for South Melbourne as they play in their final competitive fixture prior to the Australian Championship kicking off on the 10th of October. However, for the Oakleigh Cannons, it presents a unique opportunity for a home final. Pending results elsewhere, they could play their home elimination final here at Jack Edwards Reserve. Although, if other results do not go their way, should I say, they might be forced to travel to BT Connor Reserve to face off against the Preston Lions. As for South Melbourne last week, a rotated 11 saw them being trumped 5-0 by potential title winners today, Avondale FC. Yet their full starting 11 is back, ready to attack, as we have one of the great Victorian footballing rivalries renewed this afternoon. Results earlier in the season, we've already had two meetings between these two sides. South Melbourne in the Community Shield with a 1-0 win, with a solitary goal from Noel Bernarda. Their last meeting on May the 11th took a very different tale. A red card to Alex Salmon early was not enough for South Melbourne to capitalise on the brace from Joe Guest, the captain for the Cannons. And we'll take you through the starting lineups for this afternoon's clash. Starting off with the away side in South Melbourne. Hellas, of course, sees a very rotated 11. The only player to retain his spot in the starting 11, aside from Renda Gamatsu, is Braden Spink. It's 1, Javi Lopez. Number 2, Braden Spink. Number 3, Jordan Lampard. Number 4, Marko Jankovic. Number 5, Jake Marshall. Number 10, Ryan Nagamatsu. Number 15, Yuzo Iwakami. Number 22, Max Mikola. Number 24, Noel Bernardo. Number 88, Charlie Leach. And number 99, Jack Pope. The Oakleigh Cannons also see some...
Let's go!
Number 3, Connor Hampson. Number 6, Noah Holmes. Number 8, Cameron McGill. Number 9, Alex Salmon. Number 14, Kingsley Sinclair. And number 5, Jacob Tratt. Jordan Hall sits on the bench alongside Asaka Sumovic, Campbell Strong, and Jack Wachowski, alongside Brody Boyce and Thomas Alessandrados. As for South Melbourne, it's Lucas Inglese, Andy Brennan, Alexander Menelau, Andoliko Mezzaruni, Campbell Doverson, and Jake Charleston. So, final day action in the NPL Victoria men's competition. Lots of finals permutations for various different teams. Although for this solitary act here at Jack Edwards Reserve, in front of what seems to be a buoyant and excited crowd, with the grandstand on this near side fully packed, it is set to be one of what you'd expect, a renewed competitive rivalry between South Melbourne Hellas and the Oakleigh Cannons. I'm your commentator for this afternoon's clash, Neil Simons, taking you through the 90 minutes. And we'll see Connor Hampson take position on this near side. In towards Salmon. And it's straight into the feet of Max Mikola. Looks to shape away and play it all the way back to Javi Lopez. Spots Marko Jankovic. Forces it wide now. It's Bernardo in deep. Overlapping was Jordan Lampard. And Alex Salmon looking to create some space, but wasn't able to do so. 19 appearances for Alex Salmon this season. He's always got that immense poise and quality. Isn't quite at the top of the golden boot standings. Bull Juash, unless a miraculous 6-goal spree from Joe Guest today, we'll see Bull Juach take out the golden boot for this season. It's shaped in. It's Hampson. It's Bernardo looking to shape away, but he can't exactly do so correctly, and will go out for a throw-in. Believe it or not, this is Salmon's 3rd season at the Cannons, following a 4-year stint at Green Gully. It's Nagamatsu. Iwakami looks to play it forward, and deputised for Nick Feely, who's, of course, father, played for the likes of Chelsea, and has been around the traps for quite some time, the 33-year-old. Also had a stint at Clyde as well in Scotland, prior to arriving at the Perth Glory in 2016. And it's hard to believe this is his 6th season with the Oakleigh Cannons, one of the most tenured players for this club. And that's a delightful ball from Mikola, which is intercepted by Jew. It's Noah Holmes. He's been in and out of the team this year with 15 appearances. Has had a few injury issues across the campaign. Here's Dench, the former Charlton youth product, and Ollie Roo. That's a great ball out towards Joe Guest on that left flank. Can he fashion in a delivery? He can, towards the near post. But I believe Adam Duradovic has nearly sent that right into the scoreboard on this near side. Well, the question on everybody's lips, when is that beautiful grandstand on that far side going to open? We will believe it will be on October the 5th. Of course, the NPL season will be long gone by then, but how amazing for this beautiful facility to have finally been built. Of course, contributions from the council in this area alongside the Oakleigh Cannons. It's going to be an incredible facility, and of course with now you see the coaches' benches on that side of the ground as well. So we're nearly there. Here's Tratt, forced the bomb at long. And Salmon gets the effective first touch. Yankovic looks to poke it forward. But it'll be all too sweet for Nick Feely. It's a poor clearance away by the Cannons. And spare a thought for Ajak Dew, who's had a very, very good campaign for the Oakleigh Cannons. 3 goals from centre half this season after suffering an ACL injury last season. It's not been quite the season that the Cannons would have liked and would have hoped for, but still sit in a fantastic position to make an impact within finals, as we'll see the first throw-in of the day, and it will be the Japanese import in Yuzo Iwakami to take. It's Iwakami now on this near side, shaped in towards the back stick. No one can reach it though. Apologise if there's some faces in the way. And of course, as we will always do, we'll take you around the grounds at around every 10 or so minutes. Permutations for the NPL Victoria Premiership. If Avondale do not drop points today, the title should all but just be theirs, pending a loss against Green Gully at home and Heidelberg winning against Port Melbourne. Stranger things have happened in this league, as we all do know.
Huh? Yeah. Oh. I hope it's not working.
Out towards that right side, it's Nagamatsu and Dew in a tussle, and eventually the former Western United youth product is able to intervene. He's had a great campaign, of course, did score against Hume City a few weeks ago. And it's interesting to see how Chris Taylor has rotated his 11 across the last few seasons. Salmon. It's Ajak Dew. Hampson. And Dew has sent that over the grandstand. And it's found its way back on the pitch. I'm sure you can hear a few juniors shouting and screaming. It's always good to see the passion at these local football grounds, and it's a great little atmosphere here at Jack Edwards Reserve. A long ball from Iwakami does eventually find its way towards the Queenslander in Jordan Lampard. Bernarda looking to shape away. He's brought to ground, and Yanni Ziz's awards play to continue, and Javi Lopez will take shape. Here is Jake Marshall. Iwakami dropping into centre half. Lampard, now Yankovic.
How's Jake? Excited?
Back with Marshall.
Yeah, I see it.
It's not been the best run of form for
the
the Oakleigh Cannons. Only just a 1 win in their last 6 games in the NPL Victoria, which has sort of sent the cat amongst the pinchers, really, at this point in time. As it currently stands, they will have a home elimination final, likely against Preston. Depends where that game will be played. Really, home or away, really. It's all they're playing for this afternoon. McGilp. Well, that is exquisite. Here's Tratt. Laterally does find Kingsley Sinclair, the Kiwi. South looking to mount the press. Ajak Dew under some pressure, and Banana might look to capitalise, and Nick Feely eventually gets it clear. And a good touch from the Englishman, and Connor Hampson, who's got to stride forward. He's got space to his left. Decides to use Matthew Dench. Shapes one in kindly. It's now towards Leach. Looks forward. Nagamatsu. Mikola. Well, that's neat work from Max Mikola, and the ball was slightly too centrally played for Noel Bernarda to find it. Of course, he did speak on NPL New South Wales podcast, actually, Champagne Football, about his time with South Melbourne this season and how it's been very much stop-start. with injuries and the
raining
likes.
like crazy for the whole
And
3
of
days.
course, did discuss South Melbourne's plans for the Australian Championship as well, which will commence in a few weeks. They actually are holding a fan forum next Thursday.
My first flight was cancelled.
So that'll be very enticing to see as to what might happen there. I've heard the social club will be open for South Melbourne fans to voice their opinions or ideas for the future for the Australian Championship. It's all about giving back to the club for the future, and you'd hope that at one point in time the Oakleigh Cannons make a play for the Australian Championship. It's very unfortunate we won't see them in this year's competition. Imagine how awesome it would be to see that grandstand packed out
But otherwise, Sydney is good.
under lights here at Jack
it. I
Edwards
like,
Reserve.
the vibe.
Yankovic, Lampard.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
It's back with Yuzo Iwakami, of course, with J1 experience, no less. Arrived just over a month ago now.
I like Sydney.
And was involved in that Doherty Cup triumph 2 weeks
I feel
ago.
Like I'm at home already, you know. I feel like I'm coming home, so even though I still like...
Just
like,
turned 36,
it's a
so he'd be one of the older players playing in outfield positions in this league. Formerly of SC Saga Mihura
we have the whole view of
in the
diving
J3 where he
and everything.
had his trade last year.
So it is, yeah, it is.
And of course did have J1
Sydney
experience
is
with
beautiful.
Shonan Belmar.
Sydney is beautiful, but like, if I want to...
Amatsumoto Yamaga as well.
It's hard to say because I feel like Melbourne is...
And he actually also holds the record for the fastest ever goal scored in the J League, just over 10 years ago. So you can find that clip on YouTube somewhere. Makes for good viewing.
Basically, like the vibe is, it has this vibe where everyone is crazy, like everyone is in rush, everyone is like getting somewhere, running somewhere. I don't get this in Melbourne. Melbourne is
Of course, with the advent of the running track, they'll have more space to throw it in, but
yeah, a bit more like laid back. I don't know.
Iwakami, it's shaped its way into the area. It's Trat, and Duradovic sets it out of play.
Number 10 is the captain.
Yeah.
Captain of Oakleigh.
Okay, yeah.
He does like kids soccer academy.
Oh, really? Yeah. He's good. He's good.
Marshall.
So the guy is good. I think he's one of the like main players.
You read up about it? Okay.
Like I see that like he's building lots of the game.
Oh, you can already pick up.
Yeah, like I can pick it up.
Just shape it forward, but it's fell straight towards Joe Guest. That's a stunning ball from McGill. Here's Salmon. It's Dench. Drives into the area on that left side, shapes it across the face. No one to reach it. Salmon's still there to pick off the scraps and drives towards the byline. And it's a goal kick for South Melbourne. That was a very encouraging piece of play from Chris Taylor's side. And I would say, if we were to judge those in attendance, the grandstand's full, I'd say there's probably north of around 1,000 here today. Getting pretty close to it, I would say. Yeah. Our great cameraman agrees with me, so I trust his opinions and thoughts. Here's Marko Yankovic. This game taking a very different complexion from the earlier clashes within the with South Melbourne. Retaining the ball there or thereabouts. Here's Braden Spink. Of course, takes position today with the absence of Jack Painter-Andrews. And Marshall sends it over the top, and it will be right into the trusty hands of Nick Feely. Well, we're 10 minutes in. I think that gives us a chance to look at the scores around the grounds. The only score update we have to provide to you is the Altona Magic have taken a 1-0 lead against the Melbourne Knights. Just a reminder, all sides that are eligible to be relegated have been officially relegated as of last week, as Iwakami brings down Joe Guest, and now we'll see the free kick taken. Formerly of Curzon Ashton, where he did have a stint alongside the one Connor Hampson. It's hard to believe he's already 31, and by the start of next season, he'll be 32. But with 26 goal contributions across the competition this season, it's a testament to his unwavering quality. And it's really unlike the Oakleigh Cannons to not feature in the round of 32 of the Australia Cup, of course, falling to Hume City in round number 6. he adds to a glittering career, and he's always in the conversation for gold medal. It's Guest, shaped in nicely, and will fall out of the way for a goal kick. Here's Javi Lopez. Marshall. Back to Lopez. South looking to play out of this Oakleigh press, and it's sent infield for Charlie Leach. He finds Pope, lofted over the top, and Hampson sends it out of play for a South Melbourne throw, and I think Braden Spink will be the one to take. Arrived mid-season from Gold Coast United. Seemingly will be more of a long-term prospect for South Melbourne, having just turned 20. Also featured for the likes of Gold Coast Knights as a youngster, and earned a contract with the Newcastle Jets at the start of this year as well. So things didn't quite pan out for him, and now he's at the great South Melbourne. There's a throw from Iwakami. He's unable to find a player intended. His Leach, tricky footwork, looking to drive his way towards the byline. Back with Iwakami. Looks to drive himself, and the Cannons able to get themselves out of harm's way. Here's Matthew Dench. That's neat footwork, and Salmon looks to bomb it long. Lampard back to Marko Jankovic. The Cannons are very transitional with how they look to break out of the press, and they've caused South Melbourne the most trouble so far in the opening stanza. But South Melbourne are very resolute in taking their time. Sanishia Kohadzic is very fervent and consistent about the approach that they take, especially in games like this, as the ball is fired long. Mikkel is able to bring it down with such ease and sends Matthew Dench in all sorts. And Andak Dew now towards Connor Hampson, who's been dispossessed again. Now it's Jack Pope's opportunity to throw it in, and he'll be left for Braden Spink. Mikula with heavy defensive work rate today, it seems. Of course, he's got the hand taped up. It's actually the other hand that he's injured now, with Nagamatsu with a flick-on header, but it's high and into the air for Nick Feely to take with ease. Green Gully have taken the lead against Avondale. Now that is going to cause a lot of problems. Avondale could potentially falter yet again in their title pursuit. That would be quite intriguing. Here's Doradovic on a tight angle. It's Iwakami who arrives to it first, and it will be an Oakleigh Cannons throw. A corner, should I say. Wowee. Well, Green Gully might provide Heidelberg a gift, but it's up to Heidelberg to score as well. It's still 0-0 at JL Murphy. Here's Joe Guest. It's sent in low. It's Noah Holmes, and he's nearly hit the light pole on that far side. In fact, that shot is weighted so far outside of the goal region that it's going to be a South Melbourne throw. That's not something that the former Adelaide Croatia Raider would have liked to see, but nonetheless, South Melbourne, it's their time to reset and reconsolidate. Here's Tratt. Bonada. Nagamatsu just didn't quite anticipate the time correctly. And Jankovic will play it back towards Jake Marshall. Is Jankovic again. South Melbourne able to get themselves out of harm's way. Oakleigh applying the pressure, and it's on-running Iwakami, who sends it laterally towards Braden Spink. Here's Mikola. It's a very busy time in the NPL Victoria at the moment, and Victorian football in general is taking the national spotlight. Heidelberg United with a triumphant 4-0 win against the Wellington Phoenix earlier in the week, followed by Avondale with a 6-2 win up against Brisbane City, which secured them a semi-final berth in the Australia Cup. Results today and tomorrow in the Australia Cup will determine their respective fates. There's a delightful ball over the top from Mikola, and an even better touch from Noel Bernarda, looking to drive towards Lampard. And it's going to be sent out for a South Melbourne corner, but that crossfield ball from Max Mikola was superb. Well, Yanni Zizis has given it Yusa Iwakami the go-ahead. Just take your time. Avondale have also equalised against Green Gully, just if there was any doubt. So they are well and truly in the box seat. It's Iwakami, shapes it in nicely. It's Feely, who I think might have missed that catching opportunity, but is an on-running Alex Salmon, who was going to play the ball forward, but took his time. Here's Guest on this near touchline, and Bernarda with a strong intervention, and it looks like Yanni Zizis is going to call him back to have a talking to and give him a yellow card, and in remonstration, perhaps. Mikola, this near side. It's great work from Noah Holmes to beat past two South Melbourne players. And he just can't quite find the all-enticing ball. And Jake Marshall is going to provide Alex Salmon some work to do. And now the goal kicked to ensue for Javi Lopez. So about 21 minutes gone here at Jack Edwards Reserve, and the score is still South Melbourne 0, Oakleigh Cannons 0. And we see Marko Jankovic with time on the ball. Here is Jake Marshall back with Jankovic. Infield Nagamatsu. And Ajak Dew with a strong intervention on, I think it was Yuzo Iwakami, but Yanni Ziz is not intervening, should I say. Still goalless elsewhere, aside from Melbourne Knights against Altona Magic. And of course, Avondale up against Green Gully. That score is 1-1. South Melbourne with a free kick next to the byline on that far side. And as a result of the handball, it will be set piece taker Yuzo Iwakami to take. Standing over this one will be Max Mikola and Yuzo Iwakami. And that is the most acute of angles for a crossing delivery you would have seen this season. It's essentially a makeshift corner. Almost like in five-a-side when you have a corner to take, depending on what rules you play with. Here is Yuzo Iwakami. He's driven in with a strong pace to it. And Charlie Leach is also pushed to ground, but Yanni Zizis says, that's enough. Send it out for a goal kick for Nick Feely. Very intrigued to see the Oakleigh Cannons, the very shifted 11 today. Of course, they've got a lot to play for in the grand scheme of things, but I think they'd be very much accustomed or happy to see that Preston are playing up against the Dandenong Thunder, and with the Thunder in a good patch of form, and so are Preston, to be fair. That result might have no bearing on where the Cannons do finish. If the Thunder are able to defeat Preston Lions, and Guest takes it quickly and finds Hampson in a fantastic position. Can he chip the keeper? He can't. It's Adjagdu. Did it go in? Did it fall in? Miscommunication. And eventually, Yanni Zizis is going to award a red card to Javi Lopez. I'm not entirely sure what's happened here. Was there perhaps a handball off the line? Who knows? A penalty seemingly has been awarded. I am befounded and confused. But we will await confirmation upon what the decision is here. But a red card has been awarded. Wowee. We'll just have a look at the replay. I think it did hit the hand, perhaps, of Yuzo Iwakami, who's been given his marching orders. And so South Melbourne are down to 10 men. Well, in a miraculous manner, it's almost deja vu. A red card early on in the fixture in May. It's of a different description this afternoon. A handball to Yuzo Iwakami. We'll see Joe Guest from the spot to put the Cannons up against South Melbourne. It's Joe Guest from the spots. Delivered with intent. And the Cannons take a 1-0 lead. And that's goal number 15 for Joe Guest. And with all the work to do, South Melbourne reduced to 10 men and down 1-0. Heidelberg United have also taken a 1-0 lead up against the Port Melbourne Sharks. And South Melbourne to reset, and with an opportunity now to somehow get their way back into this game. It will be all the more difficult with Oakleigh. You'd assume would mount the forward pressure with a fantastic delivery from Joe Guest on the set piece, leading to Connor Hampson, putting South Melbourne's defence in all sorts, really. And Adjagdu now to Leach. Nagamatsu can't receive deep. Long ball over the top, but it was a misguided clearance, which finds its way all the way to Jordan Lampard, who's struck down, and the free kick to South Melbourne. Definitely one of the more peculiar handballs you'll see this season, but South Melbourne reduced to 10, and a mountain to climb with the pacey, quick players like Joe Guest and Matt Dench. It's going to be very hard to contend with, and without Yuzo Iwakami, who's been very solid in the games in which he's played for South Melbourne. It's going to be a Herculean task, if there was any, to overcome this pre-existing deficit. Dench, Pope. And that's a delightful stride from Dench, but Lampard there to intercept. The triangle completed, and South Melbourne with some space within the channels. Here's Charlie Leach. He's got Mikola to his right. It's Max Mikola. It's Feely who eventually gets clean hands to it, but it wasn't all so easy. Encouraging stuff from Hellas. Dench. McGilp. Tratt. Now Noah Holmes. Here's McGilp. Former Melbourne Victory product alongside a stint at Birmingham City. Since arriving for the Thunder in this Oakleigh system, he's been an absolute machine. Mikola. And now Pope looking to ride the challenge. And, well, can't find the intended target on Mikola, and Oakleigh are toying with their food here in the tight spaces. Here's Alex Salmon to curl it! Just drifting wide of the goal. But since the red card, it's been an action-packed few minutes. So if Yuzo Iwakami is available for the Australian Championship, he'll miss that first game against Sydney Olympic, which is not something South Melbourne supporters would like to hear. There's only 5 games and a minimum they'll play. To miss even one of those games is vital. Nagamatsu. Marshall. Yankovic. Leach. Now Marshall. A great ball between the lines. That's a fantastic flick from Nagamatsu. Doesn't find its intended target. It's back with Nagamatsu. And Mikola has space to drive and to shoot as well. Driven low, and Feely pushes it out of play for a corner. South Melbourne conjuring something out of seemingly nothing. Remarkably so. As we traverse to the other ground, still 1-1 at Avenger Park. And the standings see Avondale in prime position to claim that elusive second title. Unless we see a miraculous turnaround from Heidelberg. And Avondale with all to play for, but Nagamatsu heads it wide of the post, and that's a 3-goal buffer that the Magic have against the Melbourne Knights. Well, if it couldn't go from bad to worse, it just has. Of course, the 6th spot is also a pressing issue. If Hume City win today and Dandenong City drop points, they will sneak into the 6th, but those 2 matches are currently at 0-0. Mitchell taking on Dandenong City, and of course St Albans up against Hume City. Swing centre out of play. And South Melbourne have done very well, all things considered. Here's Marshall. It's Nagamatsu. That's a delightful touch. He's got Bernardo to his left, but Noah Holmes with great defensive determination to stop the South Melbourne counter-attack. But here is now Jordan Lampard. Bernardo to his left. Kingsley Sinclair to beat. It's Noel Bernardo, and the last touch came off an Oakleigh player. So South Melbourne with another corner. And Charlie Leach has been tasked with the corner taking this afternoon. Or might it be Max Mikola? I think it actually will be the Queenslander Mikola. This is his 4th season with the club since joining in 2022. The tall timber is there for Hellas. Can Mikola provide the all-important delivery? It's in towards Tratz. Well, bobs nicely up for Charlie Leach on the first time attempt. And it will be a south corner yet again, as they will try their luck a second time. Remarkably so, this game actually kicked off early at 2:59. Having a look at the scoreboard, it's not quite lining up. Corner taken short. Leach breaks away past the byline, driving strongly with intent. And the Cannons get it clear again. As far as Bonada, it's hook backing again. It's almost just about head tennis. In that South Melbourne penalty box, it's flicked across. Marshall still falls for Nagamatsu, and Oakleigh able to get themselves out of harm's way, but might have forced South Melbourne in an imperious and dangerous position. Well, they're taking his time. Was a player on that far side is Duradovic. It's shaped across goal. Easy header for Hampson. Point blank. And misses. That was all too easy for the Englishman. And despite taking their time on the counter-attack, a miraculous move has seen the Cannons blunder at point-blank range. Might that be a position within this game to rue, perhaps potentially, for the Oakleigh Cannons? And as it laterally does find Jake Marshall again, here's Max Mikola. Infield for Lampard, who's sent it down to that right-hand flank for Jack Pope. Seemingly Sinisia's Kohadzic's midfielders are somewhat drifting to find the wider channels, and Jordan Lampard is taking up a central position as well in possession. So might have moved to a back three there or thereabouts, who knows? I'm no tactician, but certainly a tactical approach has to be reformulated if they want any chance of getting themselves back into this tie. Is Jankovic. Pope. Mikola able to beat his man. And it's near side. Infield for Nagamatsu. He goes to ground, although slightly wide for Bernarda. Mikola in a heap here on this near side. And he might be needing to receive some medical attention here, it looks like, but he'll be okay. And they've called back for a free kick. Connor Hampson also in a bit of duress as well. And the two Englishmen, Hampson and Salmon, able to recover themselves. Well, another set-piece opportunity for South Melbourne Hellas, and it is Max Mikola to stand over this one once more. South have not looked like, for the most part, they've been playing with 10 men. They fought diligently and very hard to still be within this tie. Here's Max Mikola. Shapes one towards the back post. It's Tratz who heads over. Hellas corner. I wonder what the discourse will be around that call, which has really had significant influence upon this fixture. That red card to Yuzo Iwakami. Has been the primary talking point of this first half so far. Mikola delivers low towards Dench. Falls nicely towards Leach, who's able to shift it across the face. Oakleigh players in transition, unable to break initially, but they might do so on the second attempt. And that will be a yellow card for Charlie Leach, who circumvents the counter-attacking opportunity. And in turn, a yellow card to boot. Let's have a look around the grounds. 39 minutes into this contest here at Jack Edwards Reserve. Heidelberg United have taken the lead against Port Melbourne with another Bull Duarch goal. It's 1-1 at Avondale up against Green Gully. The Oakleigh Cannons lead 1-0 here against South Melbourne. And the Altona Magic lead 3-0 against the Melbourne Knights. Taking a look at the standings, the Cannons will be in 4th position as things currently stand. It will be box seat for the home elimination final up against the Preston Lions if they are able to hold out. Although, still another 45 minutes to play for in this second half. 50 minutes in total. Excellent math skills. What a fantastic day for football here in Oakleigh as we approach the spring months. It is what football's all about at this side of town. A celebration of two great football clubs here in Oakleigh. Eaton Mall was absolutely bustling with life and frivolous energy prior to kickoff, and I'm sure he'll be the same post-game. Spink, Mikola, just loses his footing, and it'll be Connor Hampson now to throw it in. Here is Joe Guest. Drops the shoulder for Holmes now. McGilp, Tratt, seasoned A-League veteran, and Jacob Tratt arrived at the midway point last campaign. Now Noah Holmes. Here's Cameron McGilp. Duradovic spent much of his years at the Melbourne Victory Academy. Also played a bit of junior football at the Bentley Greens, who tomorrow might secure the promotion back to the NPL Victoria if things go their way against Northcote City. Here's Joe Guest. Oh, beautiful interplay. And Joe Guest with space on that left flank. Shapes one in yet again. It's flicked on, but it falls kindly for Noah Holmes, whose first shot is deflected, and the Cannons able to retain possession. Now on this right flank. Shifted in field. Holmes spots the run of Connor Hampson. Curling effort again. It's flicked on by, this time, Marko Jankovic, and we'll see Lampard look to bomb it forward. South Melbourne with plenty of work to do. They've certainly looked like they might have got themselves in goal-scoring positions since the red card. They've actually looked better in transition, it seems. But without Yuza Iwakami, they will have to fight diligently in this second half to derive anything from this contest whatsoever, as Lampard looks to seek out the run of Max Mikola. Here's Adjak Dew. Noah Holmes able to shape the challengers away, and Dench infield for Alex Salmon, who drops deep and allows Dench to drive within the central channel out to that right flank. Here's Adam Duradovic. Very fantastic delivery and an even better save from Javi Lopez. You just become accustomed to moments like that from Javi Lopez, which has kept South Melbourne in this contest. Here's Bonata. Nagamatsu. And now Leach. In tight channels, Bonata. He goes to ground. And Yanni Zizis says play on for the Cannons. Infield, Guest with a wealth of space to work with. And Salmon was offside. And will be so after intervening on that attempt for Jordan Lampard. Preston up 1-0 up against the Dandenong Thunder. As well, as things currently stand, they won't change proceedings unless South Melbourne can get themselves back into this contest. Here's Jake Marshall. As we approach the 45-minute mark. Lampard unable to execute. Mikola providing support. Seems to have drifted down to that left flank. So definitely a tactical switch from the Hellas coaching staff. And Jake Marshall has sent that nearly into the construction site. In fact, he has. I think he's hit the stairs in the new grandstand. So that ball's getting a sneak preview of what is to come in October. Bonada. Agil. Nagamatsu intercepts the pass. On-running Pope. And South Melbourne players in a bit of toing and froing. Alex Salmon with an off-the-ball nudge on Marko Jankovic. Well, he's already had one red card against South Melbourne this season. You'd hope for his sake he doesn't get a second and will be on the same amount of red cards as the aforementioned Jankovic. Two minutes of added time in this first half here at Jack Edwards Reserve. Port Melbourne have equalised against Heidelberg United. Wowee. That is an interesting development at J.L. Murphy. On the stroke of half-time, they've equalised. And believe it or not, it's a halfway bomb from Anthony Leban, who has chipped Yaron Souza. That is remarkable. That's one of the goals of the season. That is remarkable. That will be replayed all across Australia. Not a bad attempt. Wowee. Well, it took a lot of beating to bypass the defence of Heidelberg United. In the last few weeks, they've faced two A-League sides and haven't conceded. It takes two NPL Victoria teams, and well, it's funny how football works, doesn't it? Of course, Oakleigh Cannons drawing to Heidelberg a few weeks ago on the 15th, prior to the Doherty Cup break, actually after the Doherty Cup break last weekend. And that's half-time here at Jack Edwards Reserve. Entertaining and entertainment-fueled contest between these two storied sides, yet it was a goal from the penalty spot from Joe Guest, no less, following a Yuzo Iwakami handball, which leaves this game at 1-0 at present. And Yuzo Iwakami into the book, red card for him. We won't see any of him for the remainder of the NPL Victoria season. We'll see you in 15 minutes for the second half.
Let's go!
made it massive in like playing career, so he probably just shifted over.
Welcome back to Jack Edwards Reserve, round 26 of the NPL Victoria men's competition. A Yuzo Iwakami red card and Joe Guest penalty has put the Cannons up 1-0 against South Melbourne Hellas. Although, plenty to play for in the second half for both sides. For South Melbourne, in terms of finals hopes, those were done and dusted a few seasons ago, and they won't be able to move past their 9th position on the table. As for the Cannons, well, if they drop points now, it could put their potential home final aspirations in jeopardy, with Preston Lions currently leading 2-0 against the Dandenong Thunder. Although a 2-goal turnaround with 10 men would be one of the more miraculous things we've seen from Sinisio Kohajic's men this season. Doherty Cup triumph 2 weeks ago is a distant memory now. They're back to fighting like they were for a better portion of the campaign. And in a miraculous set of circumstances, it's now South Melbourne with 10 men, with the Oakleigh Cannons managing to secure a 2-1 victory with 10 men in May of this year. I am Neil Simons, who's joining you on this second half here in the NPL Victoria, and we'll take you around the grounds as well. As things currently stand, no changes for both sides. But that might be changing very, very soon. You'd expect the Cannons would sit back and relax and let South Melbourne break them down, or just go all full guns blazing and ensure themselves that they win here at Jack Edwards Reserve. Here's Charlie Leach. Looks forward for Mikola. It's a flick on for Ren Nagamatsu. It's Guest. And Spink goes to ground. Here's Marko Jankovic. Marshall. What a stunning day in Oakleigh. Blue skies, 15, 16 degrees. It is near perfect conditions. In late August, Nagamatsu heads down for Mikola, goes to ground and does awarded the free kick, although advantage is not played. So in the attacking third of the pitch for South Melbourne Hellas, it is Max Mikola who stands over this one. Of course, a win today would be triumphant for South Melbourne, all things considered. Of course, the grand finals of years gone by, a distant memory. Of course, a 1-0 loss to Oakleigh in the 2024 grand final at the home of the Matildas, and a resounding 5-0 loss in 2022. Well, this Mikola looks to go direct, and it's high and over the bar and out for a goal kick. Around the grounds, in round 26, it is final day madness in the NPL Victoria. It's a 3-0 lead for Altona Magic away at Melbourne Knights. Port Melbourne currently at 1-1 up against Heidelberg. Melbourne Victory trailed 2-0 against Dandenong City. The Preston Lions lead 2-0 against the Dandenong Thunder. Avondale currently at 1 apiece against Green Gully. And St Albans trail Hume 1-0. Here's Noah Holmes on that left flank. It's a tight space for Salmon to find it. Dench with the initial impressive flick, but then beats his man. Across the face it goes. Jankovic able to chest it down for Javi Lopez. Here's Marko Jankovic again. Now Javi Lopez. Out to that right side of defence of Jake Marshall. Infield for Jordan Lampard, who's part of this back three now, it seems. Bernarda deputising at left wing back, it seems. And he's going to drive the ball forward and seek the run of Jack Pope. And that's intercepted. Here is Adam Duradovic. He's got space to work in, and he's got Alex Salmon with him. Hampson, Dench. Was a constant fixture in that Olyroos lineups of recent seasons. Whilst playing at Charlton Athletic, Matthew Dench has been on trial at the Brisbane Roar in recent weeks. But it remains to be seen if he's able to secure a contract with the Roar under Michael Valkanis. Here's Mikola, isolated on that right flank. No one in pursuit aside from Braden Spink, who's able to pick up the scraps and play it laterally for Jordan Lampard. Long ball out towards Bernarda. Able to bypass Duradovic. Shapes away. Fantastic delivery. Might fall kindly for Mikola, who makes a meal of it. And it's into the trusty arms of Nick Feely. Dench, of course, now with space is Joe Guest. Duradovic. McGilp shapes away with elegance. And we'll find Matthew Dench again. Here's Adjagdu. Jacob Tratt. Holmes in the centre circle. And that's a poor pass. Here's Mikola. Sent long out towards that right flank for Adjagdu. He's going to send that right into the grandstand. And that's hit a seat with perfect ease. Perhaps they should put that seat in a different colour as a result of that thing similar to what we have at the MCG. And we will have a change. It's... Interestingly enough, it's going to be Connor Hampson who's going to make way for Asad Kasimovic. And that will be the final act from Connor Hampson, who seemingly did have a few issues with maybe his thigh or hamstring. Not worth risking, and they'll keep him out today. So oncoming is Asad Kasimovic. And likely to take more of an attacking approach unless he's sort of forced to take that left back option, perhaps. The former Adelaide United striker spent some time at Adelaide City as well. And this remarks his second season at the Cannon. Started slow, but has since blossomed into a very tidy option with the absence of the likes of Pierce Waring. Fashioned in nicely. It's out towards Charlie Leach. Mikola deemed to be onside. Can he break away past Dench? He can. It's fashioned in yet again, or Adjagdu able to get it away. And it's Mikola again who goes to ground in the box. And he goes to ground and will be given a talking to. And a yellow card as well for diving. Worth a shot. Heidelberg United have conceded again, remarkably, against the Port Melbourne Sharks. Wow. That is fascinating. And that's one of the more remarkable goals you will see from Jonathan Vikertsis, who's bombed that top left corner. And Heidelberg, despite being Australia Cup semi-finalists, might trail to relegated Port Melbourne Sharks for the time being at the very least. What an incredible turnaround from the Sharks under Maxim Gajdovski. Here's Noel Bernardo, the Argentine, towards Lampard. Nutmegs Duradovic, and Bernarda looking to have a swing at it. And, Kingsley Sinclair, a swing and a miss. We'll see a South Melbourne corner. And it is Hellas with the majority of the possession. They are certainly on the charge. So Avondale FC seemingly, if Heidelberg are able to turn it around, it won't really matter. They are likely to be your premiers of the NPL Victoria. Leach, driven in low. Mikkola able to rise high as well. And I don't think Nagamatsu spotted the individual behind him, that being Cameron McGilp. Looks for the crossfield ball. Finds Asad Kusumovic in space. Driving and looking to strike it. And it's Javi Lopez who's able to claim. Bobbed low initially. Yankovic, spread long. The flick on header from Nagamatsu. Here's Pope. Slightly ahead of Charlie Leach, but the scuff clearance does find Tratt. Here's Pope out towards Bonada. Down the left-hand side. Tricky footwork. But Adjak sends it high. And into the feet of Yankovic with an elegant touch. Applause from the away supporters. Is Leach. That was unfortunate. Sent high and long yet again. And here's Salmon, but I think they're playing kick to kick. Nick Feely and Harvey Lopez. It's now going to be a South Melbourne goal kick. Asad Kusumovic with the 5 goals in the NPL Victoria this season. Hasn't scored since the 11th of July up against the Melbourne Knights. And Mikkola gives away the free kick. Needs to be very, very careful. He's already on a yellow card. And the Knights actually have one back as well. Up against the Altona Magic. Well, this is the final competitive game for South Melbourne before the Australian Championship match on the 10th of October up against Sydney Olympic at Lakeside Stadium. It will be the first match of the new competition. Fixtures were released earlier this week. They'll be firmly in the minds following the conclusion of this fixture. Here's Noah Holmes. I believe they've got food trucks planned. They've got vintage kits on display as well. There'll be a lot happening at Lakeside, and if you're a Victorian football fan, that weekend is going to be box office. There's a cheap giveaway from Lampard in the heart of defence for South Melbourne. Here's Guest. Now Salmon on his left. Nice little 1-2. It's Alex Salmon. I might not yet fall for Noah Holmes. Takes his time. It's Duradovic on the right. Drives towards the byline. Shapes it in. And it's all too easy for Marko Yankovic and now Noel Bernarda. Will seek out his teammates, but it's Cameron McGilp who looks to strike hits. Oh, that's delightful from Cameron McGilp. Elegance personified, and the Cannons take a 2-0 lead. A silky smooth interception followed by a silky smooth delivery. Cameron McGilp puts the Cannons 2-0 up. And that marks his third of the NPL Victoria campaign. His first in 3 months. And South Melbourne with certainly a lot more to chew. Poor defensive judgment playing out of the back. The Oakleigh Cannons are one of the best teams to capitalise on mistakes. And have done so this afternoon. It's McGilp, Marshall. It's Mikola. Marshall again. Mikola, deft touch. Holmes. And now the Cannons might put on the afterburners, but were not for the interception from Jordan Lampard. Noel Bernarda. We'll see another change now. It's Cameron McGilp who's going to make way. And Campbell Strong is going to come on. Of course, new arrival this season is Campbell Strong. After not featuring for the better part of 2 months, he returned against Heidelberg last week and scored the solitary goal for the Cannons in that matchup. Bernarda flicks on. Tratt. Is Bernarda with space again to shoot? And it's Nick Feely to claim. Of course, Campbell Strong, having been a recent arrival this season for the Cannons, arrived from eastern suburbs in New Zealand. Familiar parts for Kingsley Sinclair as well. That's a poor giveaway from the Cannons, and Nagamatsu will be on the charge. Sinclair with plenty of avenues to break, and that will be, conversely, Oakleigh Cannons free kick. And it looks like we'll see Campbell Dovison and Andy Brennan make their introductions shortly. South Melbourne were doing anything to salvage this game in their power. And it will be, of course, the Lockery Cup goal scorer, two-time goal scorer, Andy Brennan, alongside that brace holder in Campbell Dovison to come on shortly. Of course, Brennan did come off at half-time in that Doherty Cup final, and it was Dovison who provided the all-important 2 goals to win Hellas their 10th Doherty Cup. Here's Jacob Tratt. Sam Putakid is giving his instructions to the South players. Still wearing a beanie, although it is quite good weather. The sun is beaming on this near grandstand here at the Oakleigh Cannons. Kingsley Sinclair. Now it's Tratt. Campbell Strong, Pope pressing. And that is a delightful ball towards Joe Guest. Kasumovic shapes away. Now Dench, Strong. It's Salmon. Holmes. Kingsley Sinclair. Now the Cannons are really going to show their arsenal. Knocking it around in the base of midfield. It's Joe Guest looking to tease one forward. That will be all too much. Andy Brennan and Campbell Dovison to come on. That's Max Mikola's final act. And Dovison coming on for Noel Bernarda. So 2 players you would expect to feature in the Australian Championship for South Melbourne Hellas, Max Mikola and Noel Bernarda. This is their final act of the 2025 NPL Victoria season, rather. After playing left fullback last week, it looks like Campbell Dovison will take up a very similar position. course, junior at the club prior to stints at Melbourne City, Western United and the Central Coast Mariners for Campbell Dovison. Leach, that's a miraculous piece of skill, and will find space for Andy Brennan to drive. He's got Pope for support. Miraculous turn, nearly found space to shoot, but eventually wasn't able to do so. Here's Jordan Lampard. Decides to opt for Brennan within the box, and Noah Holmes able to get it clear. It's Lampard again. A touch from Nagamatsu. It's shot intercepted and blocked. Noah Holmes. Oh, that is tremendous from Noah Holmes. Although lost his footing and allows South Melbourne with space to work with. It's Dovison on the left. Looks to flick one in. It's a good delivery, but towards the back stick. Now it is Charlie Leach. What can the Western Australian do from this position? Not much, it seems. Although Pope allows a ball to drop. And still Spink will leave it for Jake Marshall. Now Marko Jankovic. Leach. That's a good first touch. Although Campbell Strong was there within the way to intercept. Ajagdu. Well, he's in a bit of duress to get this clear, and he does eventually. And South Melbourne certainly not relenting in their attacking pursuits this afternoon. 65 minutes gone here at Jack Edwards Reserve. My apologies. Standings still remain the same prior to heading into this round. As it stands, the Oakleigh Cannons will face off against the Preston Lions here at Jack Edwards next week. Jankovic, Nagamatsu, and Jackdu forcing too much weight on the Japanese import, who arrived at the club following a mid-season transfer from Metro Stars, by way of the Eastern Lions, of course, where he started the earlier portion of the campaign under Chris Greachin, who then, of course, was let go after their poor start to the season, which has led them in relegation duress for the most part. Barring miraculous circumstances, Avondale will be the premiers of the NPL Victoria for their second time in 3 years. And Dew has left the ball for Jacob Tratt, and now Marshall, Andy Brennan. That's a nice little deft touch to find Brennan, but immense work from Matthew Dench to get in the way. You can see why he's on the radar of Isuzu A-League clubs. Brennan with a flick on delivery, Nagamatsu. Still in play for Dovison. He's going to try his luck himself. Nagamatsu, Leach, Pope. Out towards Nagamatsu again. Shapes on his left. Looking for a shooting opportunity, but eventually decides Marshall's the best option. Is Brennan. Spink out of position and has given away the foul as well. South attempting to find innovative ways to find shooting opportunities, but they are really unsuccessful in doing so. Just not quite dropping for them in attacking positions. But it's nonetheless been an encouraging performance from South Melbourne, all things considered. Oakleigh Cannons have also been fit and sharp as all Chris Taylor's sides would be. They look more than likely to see out the rest of this contest with ease. Here's Joe Guest. Tratt. Holmes. Sinclair. Lampard now pressing high. Tratt again. The pressing structure nullified. That's a delightful turn from Leach, but just couldn't find the all-important pass. And with Campbell strong in space, this could be all the more merrier for the Oakleigh Cannons, or Andy Brennan is going to be his first man and eventually lose the ball towards Asad Kasumovic. Got space on his right to enter. It's Guest. Salmon. Guest again. Leach with the touch, but it's Salmon with space. Lopez saves. And it's now in the hands of the South Melbourne custodian. Yankovic out wide for Braden Spink. Brennan. Yankovic. Here's Doverson. South Melbourne looking for an avenue, and that avenue they've decided is to bring on 3 players for the last 20 minutes of the NPL Victoria season. Leach. That's a great little turn to find Campbell Doverson. So Alexander Menelau, Andrico Mezzaruni, and Lucas Inglese all set to come on. And that's a poor pass from Yankovic. Now Duradovic. Marshall in the way, but not as far as Campbell Strong. Now Kasumovic, space to drive on his right, drops the shoulder, looks to curl it. And here the final 3 changes arrive. South Melbourne junior Andrico Mezzaruni, Melbourne Victory youngster Alexander Menelau, and Lucas Inglese, who spent his time across the likes of South Melbourne and Avondale in his youth career. His dad, Adam Inglese, actually is the current manager of the Oakleigh Cannons under-23s team. So among the raft of changes, it's Leach, it's Nagamatsu, and it's Pope to come off for Lucas Inglese, Alexander Menelau. And it looks like they've decided, yep, it's time for Lucas Inglese up top. Which has been a method that they've tried a lot across the campaign. He's Mr. Reliable, Mr. Dependent. He's played at centre half, at 6, as well as in that striking position, which was a method tried under Senisio Kohadzic for the first few months of his tenure. That's changed, however, since that point forward. Inglese, Mezzaruni can't find the effective touch. Here's Duradovic. And no foul awarded. Menelau. Here's Mezzaruni. Rather, Doverson. Menelau again. It's Andy Brennan. Menelau. Spink. Brennan. Out wide is Jordan Lampard. It's Doverson. Neat little interplay. It's Andolico Mezzaruni. Drop of the shoulder. Just can't find the all-important pass. It's Spink. South retain possession. It's Spink again. Mezzaruni loses possession. And eventually it's Campbell Strong who's going to drive it forward. Almost a bit of a scorpion pass towards the left-hand channel for Asad Kasumovic. Oakleigh Cannons more or less somewhat going into autopilot for the remainder of this tie, maybe. The Altona Magic have a 4th against the Melbourne Knights, who will unceremoniously be relegated in an intriguing manner. Here's Marshall. That's overhit for Campbell Doverson. Well, what is to come in the remaining weeks for finals? Who knows? But we will have you all the coverage on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel. And, of course, don't forget tomorrow, there are 5 VPL 1 and VPL 2 fixtures in play. A lot of exciting matches in the offing. And, of course, the potential title sealer and promotion sealer for the Bentley Greens as well, as they face Northcote City. total list of fixtures. Of course, Caroline Springs George Cross also in the promotion spot up against Western United. Brunswick City face off against Melbourne City. And as for VPL2, it's North Geelong up against Brunswick Juventus. And Geelong Soccer Club up against the already promoted Eltham Redbacks, who did a double promotion this year from State League 1 all the way to VPL 1, where they'll play in 2026. Inglese. Can't quite bypass Adjective. And it's Campbell Strong. Pace to burn and has bypassed a few South defenders. Will opt to go back towards Dench. Menelao. Andy Brennan. Loses out possession, and it's now Guest. Duradovic takes it back inside. On that left flank, it's Adam Duradovic. He's still got possession. It's Strong out to that left flank. Space for the Cannons to operate within. Oh, it's across the face, and Harvey Lopez might have got a touch to it. But nonetheless, South see this as an avenue to attack themselves. Yankovic. Menelao. Marshall. Inglese. Loses out possession. His opposite number 6, Noah Holmes. It's Adjective. Salmon. Strong. Jacob Tratt. Now Salmon. That's a delightful ball. It's Kingsley Sinclair across the face. And a goalmouth clearance from Jake Marshall keeps the score at 2-0. And I think we'll see a change from the Oakleigh Cannons as well. It looks to be their final one. Thomas Alessandratos is set to come on. The former Pasco Vale Jr. and, of course, started the year off at the Port Melbourne Sharks. Moving mid-season. Where they, the Sharks, actually seem like they're going to lead still against Heidelberg United, which would be one of the more crazy results we've seen in the NPL this season. Here's Andy Brennan. Spink. Yankovic. Laterally for Jake Marshall. 77 minutes gone. Just a reminder that early red card to Yuzo Iwakami is where proceedings are now, and hence why the Cannons are largely 2-0 in front. That's great work from Lucas Inglese to find Andy Brennan, who's going to drive on his right and win his side. In fact, no, it's going to be a... So there has been awarded as a South Melbourne goal kick that they've conceded, but I think it actually was meant to be given as a corner or a throw-in. Mezzaruni. Marshall. Yankovic. Barring miraculous circumstances, this is likely to be another win for the Cannons up against South. That's a really nice touch from Lampard. Here's Mezzaruni. Couldn't quite find Doverson, but the intent was positive. The Cannons happy to just batter down the hatches. Menelao. Mezzaruni. Oh, it's high for Menelao, but eventually advantage is played and called back to reconvene. And Heidelberg have equalised against Port Melbourne as well to make it 2-2. Here's Spink. Inglese. It's Inglese again. almost a human wrecking ball as he wins his side the free kick. It's another goal, a miraculous goal for Heidelberg United. That seems to be the matches of the ground in terms of goals and the acumen of striking ability that the Heidelberg have to their disposal is remarkable. And South Melbourne with an important free kick opportunity deep into their attacking half on that right side. And it will be Anduliko Mezzaruni. Fizzes it, and it will be cleared over the top from Noah Holmes. Avondale also have taken the lead against Green Gully as well, just to more or less put their title ambitions and actualize their dreams. And with the advent of Lucas Inglese up top here for the corner, anything is possible for South Melbourne. Anything will do, it seems, at this point in time. 81st minute we have now entered into. Lampard with the delivery is curling one towards Nick Feely, who's able to punch it away. Mezzaruni. Oh. And that's a poor giveaway. And we'll see Alex Salmon bearing down on goal. Only man allowed to beat. Space to his right. It's Alex Salmon. A couple of step overs and a finish to boot. Alex Salmon does his dues. And the Cannons earn their third, unsurprisingly, against a depleted South Melbourne. Although inconsistency has beguiled Salmon in terms of games played, and goal-scoring acumen is all the more the same. Marks his 9th goal of the campaign. And South Melbourne will see out the 2025 NPL Victoria season with 2 losses on the board. One sort of within their hands by virtue of a rotated 11. The other, a red card, has destroyed their afternoon. Jankovic, Spink. Here's Brennan. Beat past a few players, and he's got space for the cross for Spink on the right, and that's very highly weighted. And Dobson is able to keep it inside just for the brief period. And Lampard attempted the reverse pass. Brennan. We'll see yet another change. Now we'll see Thomas Alessandrados come on for Joe Guest. So that's Joe Guest's 2025 season wrapped up. I'm sure he'll be very happy with 27 goal contributions across 26 games. He is a player etched in Cannons folklore, and tonight has been more or less the same. Mezzaruni. Able to bypass one. Mezzaruni shaping onto his right. And Alessandrados with the interception. Could there be a 4th for the Cannons? Here's Dench. Muscles and bodies the ground, Braden Spink. It's still Dench. And it's Jankovic who's able to chest it towards his keeper in Javi Lopez. He's really blossomed into a fully fledged professional as Matthew Dench. And by all intents and purposes should be on the mark for an A-League contract, you'd hope, in the future. And that's overhit for Dovison. Here's Kingsley Sinclair. Doesn't look like Nick Feely's had too much to do today as well. Aside from that one shot from Max Mikula, he's more or less been in good shape. Of course, his number 2, Lachlan Hart, is now with relegated Kingston City. And Menelau's backwards header is unable to find its intended target. And the Cannons are on the march again. Here's Kasumovic now. Top of the shoulder. Towards Salmon. It's incisive and Kasumovic goes down. But adjudged not to be a penalty from Yanni Zizis. It's been more or less on point with his calls this afternoon. Mezzaruni. Here's Spink. Inglese. For what has been a topsy-turvy season for South Melbourne, they should go into the break very happy with their output in the latter portion of the campaign. These last 2 weeks won't do much for their confidence, but nonetheless, by the time October 10 comes around, it will take a very different complexion. Here's Noah Holmes, fizzes it towards the back stick. No one there to meet it. And now Dovison bypasses Duranovic. The Joey. And Brennan asking plenty of it. He's got Lampard with the crossfield ball and does find him, but it's not weighted with all the energy required to find the fullback. And Jack Dew, now Campbell Strong. It's Tratt. Looks long. Here's Alessandratos on that right-hand side. Judged to be a south throw. Well, haven't mentioned yet, but the Oakleigh Cannons actually did have a game earlier this week on Tuesday. They did play against the Melbourne Victory, who seemingly put out a very strong starting 11, and remarkably enough, they did defeat the Victory. It was a Joe Guest goal, which saw them defeat the Victory, and the away side on that night weren't too happy with that result, as you would expect. So it looks like they'll be going into this weekend pretty happy with 2 wins to boot. Certainly not bad going whatsoever. Here's Mezzaruni, able to win it back. And now Brennan striding forward. He's got space to his left and was beating all ends up. And here's Alessandratos. It's Salmon in behind, but an exquisite lunge from Jake Marshall. Now Spink. Marshall. That's a delightful turn, but the Cannons able to win it again. Here's Duranovic. Space to his left. Salmon is in an offside position. Thank you all for tuning in this afternoon. Of course, so many matches. 7 concurrently kicking off at 3 p.m. It's the beauty of the NPL Victoria. With these concurrent fixtures, it's not something you see across football, I guess, generally in this country, at a professional level at the very least. So we're very privileged to have occasions like these, as Inglese looks to bypass and Jack Dew. He wins the foul at the very least. So now the delivery from Mezzaruni to arrive. Here is Andoliko Mezzaruni. Delivered towards Marshall. He got ahead to it. Now it's Brennan. Looks to fire one on the attempted volley. And then that bobbed over Nick Feely. That would have been one of the more better goals you've seen this season in the NPL. Although Matt Dench has sent a delightful ball out towards Kasumovic. Rolls it across into the feet of Jake Marshall. Mezzaruni again. A bit sloppy. Jack Edwards Reserve is the venue. The Preston Lions is the opponent. What a delicious elimination final we'll have next week. As it's kept in by Alessandrados. That's a really, really impressive work rate from the youngster. We've seen out for a corner. The other elimination final will be the Dandenong Thunder up against Dandenong City, a dandy derby. It doesn't get any better than this, really. 2 mouth-watering elimination finals next weekend. That is going to be incredible viewing for any neutral. And just like that, the NPL Victoria season for season 2025 comes to a close for the Oakleigh Cannons and South Melbourne in terms of the regular season. They will face off against the Preston Lions here next week. Although for this afternoon proceedings, goals from Alex Salmon, Joe Guest were those that will set the cat amongst the pigeons. And of course, how can we forget Cameron McGill's strike, which made it 2-0. Yuzo Iwakami's red card will live in the memory, or likely won't for South Melbourne fans. I've been Neil Simons. Thank you so much for your time.